All right. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, this is the Jolting Joe Sports Show, and I am your host, Joltin' Joe Pellerin. And today is Thursday. It is March the 24th while I'm recording this. And what are you drinking? What are you smoking? First of all, get a little. I've shown this one before, just getting around to smoking it because it is a gorgeous day here in Houston, Texas. About 70 degrees, nice breeze, just absolutely beautiful. But this comes from a tobacco shop called El Cubano, excuse me, by Manny Lopez, down there in Texas City, Texas. If you're down there on Texas City and 6th Street, hit up old Manny Lopez down there at El Cubano. It's rolls his own, so real good. It's all his brand. All right, that's all he does, but gets all of his tobacco from somewhere, and then he rolls his own cigars. All right, what are you drinking? Got a couple things here today. Probably gonna hit this one later or last year, but this is from our local craft brewery, St. Arnold's. Once again, the oldest craft brewery in Texas. I have a lot of their beer, but they make good beer. This is their Old Fashioned. Yeah, look at that. But it is a barley wine aged in rye whiskey barrels, as you can see there, with orange peel. This is damn tasty, especially if you like barley wine. That's a really good one. But I want to start with is their double IPA. This is their double Art Car. Art Car is their single IPA. This is their double IPA. They don't make this very often. This is a special kind of release thing that when this comes out. But if you go to Houston Astros baseball games, St. Arnold has a whole pavilion out there. You get Art Car. Most bang for your buck because it's like 9%. All right, I don't know what this is, but it's up there. So there you go. So let's put it in the old Houston Roughnecks. Yeah, the old the old XFL. Yeah, baby, old Houston Roughnecks koozie here. Oh, whoa. There we go. All right, and here we go. Gotta love that sound. Cheers, everybody. Oh, I want to turn that around. Oh, that. I wanted to see the red around here, so the gray is the canned red. There we go. All right, there we go. Look at that. Yeah, look at that. That's better on camera. All right. All right, so just a couple quick things. Because I'm probably posting 2 episodes a day, because I did an episode on Sunday and talked about Carlos Correa leaving the Astros. I talked about Deshaun Watson leaving the Texans. And just real quick, because I kind of ran out of time there on both of those. As far as Deshaun goes, Deshaun pretty much knows he's getting suspended. And so what he did is, I think it's a $230 million contract that he signed, all guaranteed, of course. But what he did is the first year of his contract, his base salary is only $1 million. That's what he's going to get paid. All right, that's going to be his game checks is going to be will total $1 million. All right, so if he ends up playing, all 17 games, that'll 1 million divided by 17, that'll be his game check. All right, but his base salary is only $1 million, and then his signing bonus is like 20-something million dollars. All right, and the reason that he did that and his agent David Mulugheta did that is because they expect that Deshaun's going to be suspended by the league, and so of course if you get suspended, you get suspended without pay, and so obviously if Deshaun was making $30 million this year, and he got suspended for, let's just say, 6 games, that's a lot of money. But if you're only making $1 million this year, right, the rest of it's signing bonus, the NFL can't touch that. If you're making $1 million this year and then you get suspended for 6 games, well, it's a lot less money. All right, so, it's nefarious, don't get me wrong, but, slow clap to the David Mulugheta, the agent, and Deshaun Watson on that one. That was a big F you to the NFL. That was like, go ahead and suspend me, bitches. All right, what that was. Now, this is just conjecture on my part. This is just an opinion that I have, and that is that I think Deshaun. I think what's going to end up happening is, this is my guess, complete guess, my theory, is that what's going to end up happening is Deshaun's going to get suspended for 8 games, which would be almost half the season. He'll appeal it. They'll take 2 games off. He'll end up with 6. Ben Roethlisberger got 6 after his issue. Now, he was cleared criminally. Then he got 6 games suspended. Zeke Elliott, same thing. Cleared criminally. He got 6 games. Then Antonio Brown with his issue. Oh, he's got a lot of issues. But he got 8 games. So I think Deshaun's going to be in that kind of 6 to 8 game, right? Because there's precedent for it. So like I said, if the NFL suspends him for 8, I think he'll appeal it. They'll knock it down to 6, and that's probably what he's going to end up being at. It's probably 6 games. But like I said, 30 divided by 6 is a lot more than, 30 million, or I should say, 30 million divided by 6 is a lot more money than 1 million divided by 6. So he's not going to end up losing all that much money off this deal. So once again, just brilliant move there. All right. So that's more for Deshaun than it is for the Browns, because once again, the whole goddamn contract's guaranteed. All right. So they got to pay the money anyway, but that's more for Deshaun getting suspended. So, base salary there. So anyway. And then kind of wrap up, Carlos Correa leaving the Astros, going to Minnesota. We kind of got our hopes up here in Houston because one of the local sports guys was like, the Astros are talking, and then Jim Crane made a statement saying that, yeah, we're gonna make an offer back to Correa, we'll try to get Cox going again. And that was all bullshit, apparently. Correa said he never heard from the Astros, and I can tend to believe him, because I think what happened is that the Astros figured that Carlos Correa, basically the Astros made their offer. They offered him 5 years, $160 million. That's $32 million a year, but only 5 years. Correa, of course, wants a long-term contract. He wants 8 years, 10 years, something in that neighborhood. Probably in the $32 to $35 million range. He wants Francisco Lindor money. He wants Corey Seager money. All right. Astros weren't going to, the dollar amount wasn't that big of a deal, because they were, even in the 5-year offer, it was $32 million a year. But Jim Crane just has a history of not doling out big contracts, because they can come back and bite you in the ass. All right. And once again, I keep mentioning this, but, ask the Angels about Albert Pujols, ask the Tigers about Miguel Cabrera. All right. Hell, ask the Yankees about Garrett Cole here in a few years. I know Garrett Cole's one hell of a goddamn pitcher, pitcher in Houston, of course, but that is a lot of money for a long, long time, for a guy that only plays every 5th day. And that's kind of what the Astros are. The Astros, they find guys like Garrett Cole, but then they don't pay Garrett Cole, and that's the Astros' MO. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with not giving out the big mega deals, because it can hamstring your organization. And if you can go out and find new talent and replace those guys, hell, more power to you. So I got no problem with that. But and then of course the Astros didn't want to dick around with these options, because those really favor the players. Because if Correa opts out, he can say, because he's, the Twins are paying him $35.1 million. And so if, so he can either opt out after this year and say, bye, Felicia, or if he has a shit season, he can actually be like, well, I had a shit season, so let me exercise my option and make sure I get my $35.1 million for next year, and hopefully I have a better year, and then I can be a free agent after next year. All right. So smart play on Carlos Correa's part there. But like I said, if he has a good season this year, if he hits 280 with 25 home runs and in either wins a Gold Glove or is nominated for a Gold Glove, he gone again. He'll find someplace else to go that's going to give him an 8-year deal or more. All right, but I think a lot of teams are starting to step away back from these deals, because it's a crapshoot. It's a gamble. Boy howdy. Like I said, unless you got a young player that's a phenom like Fernando Tatis, and then in the way Tatis plays, Tatis is going to be the next Mike Trout essentially, and that's what I say just about Mike Trout. Now, granted, Mike Trout's the best baseball player out there, right? You can make a damn good case for Shohei Ohtani right now too. Hell, you can make a case for Fernando Tatis, but I'm just going to say that Mike Trout's the best player in baseball, just all around, 5-tool guy, hit for power, hit for average. Got speed, can flash the leather. Definitely a 5-tool. Definitely a 5-tool player. But the problem with Mike Trout is he's hurt a lot, and he signed a huge deal too. And the Angels haven't really gotten their money's worth out of that so far yet, just because Mike hasn't really played that much. And one of the local sports guys here in Houston, that's kind of one of his things is because if you get because right now the Astros look like they're going to start Jeremy Pena, who hasn't played a major league game, but he's probably making the league minimum this year, which is like $700,000. Let's just say he's making $1 million. You know, Pena's going to outperform that contract. And that's what you want. You want him to outperform the contract. Whereas Carlos Correa, all he can do is live up to $35 million. All right, all Garrett Cole can do is live up to that deal. Okay, but Lance McCullers here in Houston. Now, granted, he's injured right now, but he's getting he signed a $80-something million contract for a few years, but he can outperform that contract. Where Garrett Cole, all you can hope is Garrett Cole lives up to the contract. So if you can get somebody to outperform a contract, that's really all you're looking for. So I think in the long run, Correa's going to be all right. Astros are going to be all right. But like I said, they're just looking for Jeremy Pena to outperform his contract. And, of course, the Twins are going to be looking for Carlos Correa to earn that $35.1 million that they're paying him this season. Because if Correa ends up having a bad season and ends up, maybe he only plays in 100 games this year and bats .220 and only hits 18 home runs, definitely not going to be worth $30 million, 32, 35, anything. All right. But if Jeremy Pena comes around this year and hits .250, hits 20 home runs, flashes some leather, definitely going to be worth $1 million or whatever the hell they're paying him, which there isn't a lot because he's coming up from the minor leagues. All right. So, those are my thoughts on Deshaun Watson's contract situation. So, once again, yeah. And then, of course, with Correa going. All right. So, March Madness started, and I recorded on Sunday, so the first round was done. But kind of ran out of time here, so I'm going to bust my bracket out here. Yeah. So, I did a bar pool. All right. And I did two. The second one's pretty much been trashed already. I'm not even going to talk about it because it was definitely pretty. It was pretty rough, pretty bad there. All right, as far as that goes. So, kind of here's what happens. So start with the round of 64, shall we? Goros Gonzaga, who I picked, beat Georgia State. Memphis beat Boise State in a little bit of an upset. That's a 9 versus 8. I don't even count that as an upset. But I did have Memphis in that one. In the New Mexico State upset UConn, which I called. That was a 12 over a 5. Arkansas beat Vermont. And then Notre Dame upset Alabama. Did not call that one, and Notre Dame ended up upsetting Alabama. Texas Tech beat Montana State. Michigan State beat Davidson. Duke beat Cal State Fullerton. And then in the East, that was the West, by the way. In the East, Baylor beat Norfolk, UNC beat Marquette, St. Mary's beat Indiana, UCLA beat Akron, Texas beat Texas. Yeah, go Horns, hook 'em. They beat Virginia Tech, Purdue beat Yale, Murray State beat San Francisco, and then the big shocker, of course, was Kentucky, number 2 Kentucky, being upset and losing to St. Pete's. To St. Peter's, and of course that was on St. Patrick's Day, so the luck of the Irish, the Saints, were with St. Peter's. All right, I don't know if St. Peter's Irish or not, I just want to throw that in there. All right, but they won, and then in the South, Arizona over Wright State. TCU beat Seton Hall once again, minor upset, 9 versus 8, nothing big there, although I did have Seton Hall for some dumb reason. Then U of H, University of Houston beat UAB. Illinois beat Chattanooga. Then Michigan upset Colorado State. That was 11 over 6. I called that one. I had Michigan. Tennessee beat Longwood. And then I had Lola upsetting Ohio State, and it just didn't happen. Lola usually does pretty good. Usually Lola will be the Cinderella, and they'll usually make it to the Sweet 16. But they were just one and done this year. Ohio State got them. Then Villanova beat Delaware. And then in the Midwest region, Kansas beat Texas Southern. Creighton beat San Diego State. And then another one I did not call that was an upset, another 12 over a 5, was Richmond beating Iowa. Didn't see that one coming. And then Providence beat South Dakota State. And then for some stupid reason, I picked LSU over Iowa State. I don't know why. But Iowa State ended up upsetting LSU. And then Wisconsin beat Colgate. And then Miami beat USC, which that one was an upset too. I called that one too. I called Miami. And then Auburn beat Jacksonville State. So for the first round, I did pretty good. Only missed 6 games out of the 32 that were played. So I was feeling pretty good after the round of 32. All right. Let me get some beer here. All right, and then we'll get into the second round. All right, so that was Thursday. That was St. Patrick's Day. And then also that Friday, all right, was the round of 64. So round of 32, Gonzaga beats Memphis. And then Arkansas does beat New Mexico State. And then Texas Tech beat Notre Dame to move on. I picked Michigan State to upset Duke. I was wrong. Duke held on and won that game. Michigan State made it close. It was a damn good game. Michigan State kept getting close, but they just couldn't quite get over the hump there. And so I missed that upset. So Duke ends up beating Michigan State. And then the big upset in the second round, the round of 32, was Baylor losing to North Carolina. Number 1 Baylor, the first number 1 seed to be eliminated from the tournament. But UNC beat Baylor. I did not call that one. And Baylor made a monster comeback, forced overtime. But Baylor, much like Michigan State, they just couldn't quite get over the hump. They kept it close. They got it tied. They just couldn't take a lead. And then in overtime, I think they were just gassed, and that was it. And that was it, done, all she wrote. And I had Baylor in the Final Four, so that killed me there. But that was definitely the biggest upset of the round of 32. All right, and so that was in the so Baylor, UNC, that starts the East regional. Before that, of course, was the West, and then I had St. Mary's beating UCLA. That did not happen. UCLA ended up beating St. Mary's there, and then Texas Longhorns. I'm just a fan of Texas. I didn't go to Texas. I went to Stephen F. Austin, but I grew up a Texas fan, and I did pick Texas to lose to Purdue. Purdue's a damn good team. Texas kept it closer than I thought it was going to be completely honest with you. But Texas ends up losing to Purdue. And then St. Peter's beat Murray. St. Peter's keeping the dream alive. So St. Peter's going to the Sweet 16. All right, and then in the, let's see here, South Regional, Arizona held on and beat TCU in overtime. I thought TCU was going to upset Arizona there for a minute. Now, I've got Arizona going out in the Elite Eight. I got them losing to Villanova, so I'm kind of glad that they won. But at the same time, being a Texas guy, I was kind of rooting for TCU to upset them. Didn't quite happen. That game went to overtime, and then Arizona wins in OT. And then, like a dumbass, I picked Houston to lose to Illinois. I don't know why I did that. That was just dumb. Houston played lockdown defense in that game, man. And Illinois could not get a damn thing going. I mean, Houston just played phenomenal defense. Houston ends up winning. They're in the Sweet 16. And then I called this upset just because I know Rick Barnes was, once again, being a Texas fan. Rick Barnes is going to Rick Barnes. All right. You know, old Denny Green, when he was coaching the Arizona Cardinals, you know, Denny Green had that line, "They are who we thought they are," and Rick Barnes is who we thought he was. All right, and for you Texas fans, you know, Rick Barnes did take UT to one Final Four, but and they lost in the semifinals. But normally Texas would make they'd get into the Sweet 16 and usually get knocked out. Sometimes they get rocked out in the round of 32, and usually they had a damn good team. And that's when Rick Barnes was there, and that just did not happen. And then he's done the same thing since he's gone to the other UT, the University of Tennessee. Rick Barnes and Tennessee have done the same thing. It's been, second round and out, or Sweet 16 and out. And so I actually had Michigan beating Tennessee, and sure enough, they did, and actually beat them pretty damn good. So Michigan moves on, and then Villanova beat Ohio State, and then let's see, and then Kansas took care of Creighton, although Creighton made that game close, a little close for comfort there. I got Kansas in my Final Four, I got Villanova in my Final Four, I got Gonzaga in my Final Four, so I've got 3 Final Four teams still alive, so that's good. For me. And then Providence ended up winning. They beat Richmond, so they moved on. And then let's see, and then oh yeah, and then Iowa State beat Wisconsin. Wisconsin, I had them losing in the Sweet 16 to Auburn because usually Wisconsin does the same thing. They get kind of they'll have a good team and then they just disappear there, and but freaking. But freaking Iowa State, man, I just go Big 12, man. Iowa State Cyclones taking care of Wisconsin, and then and then the other big upset in this one, maybe close to the Baylor upset, but the other big upset was Miami defeating Auburn. Auburn, the number 2 seed in the Midwest, and Miami beat Auburn in that one, and I did not see that one coming either. So I only missed 6 games in the round of 32, but then as far as the Sweet 16 goes, I only got 8 teams right. So I'm 8-8 as far as the Sweet 16 went. So that was not great, but like I said, I do have 3 of my 4. I do have 3 of my 4 Final Four teams intact. Like I said, I'm missing Baylor. Baylor, that one hurt. All right, I had them losing to Gonzaga in a rematch of the Final Four from last year. That ain't gonna happen, of course. All right. So here's what I got so far that I'm still alive. All right, I pretty much need to root for Gonzaga because as long as Gonzaga wins the West, I'll be okay. But my Duke, Texas. I do have Duke. I had Texas Tech in the Sweet 16, but I had them losing to Michigan State, and of course Michigan State's out, so I don't have Tech advancing, so I'm screwed there. And then of course Baylor killed my East bracket completely, and so did Kentucky. I do, I do have Baylor. I do have Purdue in the Elite Eight, so that's the only thing that's going to save me from there. So maybe, hopefully, Purdue knocks out St. Peter's, and Purdue goes, and then that's the only thing I've got left in the East there, because the East is toast because I had Baylor winning that one. And then let's see, and then in the South. Arizona's still in it, and once again, I had Houston in that one, the Sweet 16. But I do have Arizona advancing to the Elite Eight, so that's still intact. I do have Villanova beating Michigan and going to the Elite Eight, so that's still intact. I do have Kansas beating whoever they're going to play now, Providence, so that's still intact. And then Auburn screwed me too because I had Auburn in the Elite Eight, and so that's going to be. That's screwed there. So I'm just kind of rooting for Kansas in the Midwest there, as far as that goes. And then for the Elite Eight, all right. And then so we'll kind of see what happens with that. And then, like I said, I've got Gonzaga winning the West. I've got Arizona winning the South, Kansas winning the Midwest, and then I had Baylor winning the East, and that's over and done. So sad face. But, I still got 3 out of 4. So if I can keep 3 out of 4 Final Four teams alive, if nobody else, if I can keep my Final Four teams, I'll be okay. All right. So hope everybody's brackets are doing good. All right. So let's see what we got going on for the Sweet 16 here. Well, I had it, and then. All right, let's see here. Here we go. Gotta go with my ESPN app here. Okay, so today's games start at 6 o'clock Central Time. Excuse me. This is Central Time for me. I'm in Central Time Zone here in Texas. So we've got number 4 Arkansas taking on number 1 Gonzaga. Like I said, Gonzaga, man, they make things close. I know they're the number 1 overall seed. They were last year, but they kept things close last year. Hopefully, like I said, Gonzaga got picked in the Final Four, so hopefully Gonzaga beats Arkansas. And then the second game at 6:29, so there'll be 2 games going on kind of at the same time. So that game will be on CBS, by the way. The TBS game at 6:29 Central Time is going to be Michigan versus Villanova. Like I said, I got Nova in the Sweet 16, so go Nova. And then on CBS, the second game on CBS at 8:39 Central is going to be Texas Tech versus Duke. I know it's Coach K's last year, but I'm a Texas guy, and I feel like I can root for Texas Tech. Even though they beat Texas twice, and everybody was pissy about Chris Beard, but even though they're in the Sweet 16 now, and Texas got knocked out in the round of 32, so really, they win. Who cares? But we'll see. That should be a good game. We'll see who wins that one. And then I tell you what, and then the late game, the second game on TBS, is going to be Houston versus Arizona. And I tell you what, if Houston plays defense like they played on Saturday. Holy, or was it Sunday they played? Anyway, that game, I think it was Sunday. They had the early morning game Sunday because I watched that game Sunday morning. If they end up playing defense and Arizona plays like they played against TCU, because remember that game went to overtime. Arizona barely held off TCU. Houston can upset Arizona. I've got Arizona going to the Elite Eight and then getting beat by Villanova, but I wouldn't put it past the Cougars to go. And really, since it doesn't affect my Final Four at all, go Cougs. All right, give them the shocker. Yeah. This is the Cougs sign. It's the shocker. Anyway. Or wait, hold on. That's it. There we go. I had it backwards. But yeah, it's that. Yeah, it's the shocker. But anyway. Y'all know what that is. All right. If I have to explain to you, Google it. All right. And then let's see. And then the other games for the Sweet 16 on Friday. The early game on CBS at 6:09 Central Time is going to be St. Peter's versus Purdue. Is the clock going to strike midnight for St. Peter's? That is the question. Purdue's a damn good basketball team. I think Purdue's going to end up winning that game, but I could pound St. Pete's. Hey, they could be this year's like Butler or VCU or one of them lower seed teams that just goes a long way. So we'll see what happens. But still taking Purdue in that one. And then the first game on TBS is going to be Kansas and Providence. Like I said, I've got Kansas advancing to the Final Four, so go Jayhawks. And then the second game on CBS is UCLA versus North Carolina. I got no dog in that fight. But that side of the bracket's busted. I didn't have either one of those teams. So we'll see who wins in that. That should actually be a pretty good game. The way UCLA is playing, I'll take UCLA in that game. But we'll kind of see what happens with that. And then another interesting game, once again, that I have no dog in a fight because that bracket's busted too, is Iowa State taking on Miami. And Iowa State's an 11 seed and Miami's a 10 seed, and they're in the Sweet 16 playing each other in the Midwest region. So that one should actually be a damn good game. I haven't seen Iowa State yet, but I know they beat a couple of good teams here, and Miami's been playing really well too. But hell, the way Iowa State's been playing, I might take Iowa State in that game. I don't know, we'll see. All right. So that's your Sweet 16 for today, and then the Elite Eight will be on. We'll have 2 games on Saturday, 2 games on Sunday for the Elite Eight, and then next week we'll be talking about the Final Four and the national championship game from Nolans, Louisiana, baby. All right, but they're going to be there in the Superdome. All right, so there you go. And still got a couple minutes here. Forgot to mention big NFL news of the week so far has been Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill, Kansas City traded him for, I think, 5 draft picks. I think it was 5. But Kansas City drafted him for 5 draft picks coming from Miami. Now, Miami had plenty of draft picks. They got a lot of draft picks from the Texans, actually, on that Larry Tunsil deal. And then Tyreek Hill signed an extension with Miami for 4 years, and I think like $145 million. But Tyreek Hill is now the highest paid receiver in the NFL. Devontae Adams was the highest paid receiver for like a week. And then Tyreek Hill signs that deal with Miami. And so that. And then the other big news was the Falcons, after going after Deshaun Watson, they actually traded Matt Ryan to the Indianapolis Colts for, I think, only I think it was a 3rd round pick, but only 1 draft pick. So the Falcons sent Matt Ryan to Indianapolis. So Indianapolis will have Matt Ryan, Tyreek Hill to the Dolphins. Also saw the day that backup quarterback Kyle Allen of the Commanders, he signed with the Texans today. So I take it he's going to back up Davis Mills there in Houston. But I think that's pretty much it. The Saints re-signed Jameis Winston, so Jameis Winston will be back with the Saints, and so I think everybody's quarterback position, at least at this point, is situated except for Baker Mayfield. Cleveland has not dealt him yet. And so I don't know where Baker's going to go. No, Baker, they want to accommodate Baker, but I thought he was going to go to Indy. I know he wanted to go to Indy, but now Indy's got Matt Ryan, so Baker's not going to Indianapolis. You can send him to Seattle because Seattle's got Drew Lock. Now, Lock's not great. Hell, he's not good either. But you can still start Drew Lock if you want to. Or you can try and, or maybe get Baker. And then the only other team I think that really needs a quarterback is Carolina, unless they stick with Teddy Bridgewater. But, I mean, Carolina could use a quarterback, so I could see Baker going to Carolina as well. So it's just going to depend on what's offered and if Baker wants to go there or not. But he's the last one. I think Carolina's the only one that really, needs a quarterback per se. But Jameis Winston will stay in New Orleans. He'll remain the quarterback there. Matt Ryan's, of course, in Indianapolis. Mitch Trubisky looks like he's going to be in, they're going to bring him up there in Pittsburgh. So Pittsburgh might draft a quarterback, or they might, look at a quarterback, to replace Big Ben. But right now, that's kind of what's going on up there. So, and then, of course, Carson Wentz with the Commanders. Jesus Christ. And then Russell Wilson to Denver. So, I think everybody's quarterback situation is pretty much solid at this point. So those are your NFL news for the day. And that's pretty much it. All right, y'all. Good talking to y'all today. Enjoy the rest of the March Madness. Enjoy the Sweet 16. Enjoy the Elite 8. We'll talk to you next week. We'll talk some Final Four, and then we'll see what's going on in the NFL, the NBA, and in Major League Baseball, if anything kind of big happens there. All right, everybody. Cheers. Have a good one. Have a good weekend. Enjoy it. Talk to you next week.